Hey, I'll see you in Rutherford, New Jersey, Minneapolis, Minnesota, Ontario, California, Davenport, Iowa, Las Vegas, Chicago, and Grand Rapids, Michigan. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets. So guess what? You know, the NIH, the people who were funding the Wuhan...
Socialist medicine?
Yeah. The NIH scientists made $710 million in royalties from drug makers, a fact they tried to hide.
It doesn't sound very socialist.
So this guy, his name is Adam Andrzejewski, and he's it's pronounced Andrzejewski.
It is?
Yes, it is. He is the CEO and founder of OpenTheBooks.com. It's the largest private repository of U.S. public sector spending. Their mission is every dime online in real time. In 2022, OpenTheBooks.com captured nearly all the public expenditures in the country, including nearly all disclosed federal government spending, 50 of 50 state checkbooks, and 25 million public employee salaries and pension records from 50,000 public bodies across America. So that's a big deal. And that's who... So the new data from the National Institute of Health revealed the agency and its scientists collected $710 million in royalties during the pandemic from 2021 through 2023. These are payments made by private companies, you know, Big Pharma, to license medical innovations from government scientists.
So you pay the government scientist's salary with your taxes for you, and then
the pharma...
Well, that doesn't sound like a conflict of interest. Why would anybody not trust the science in the
almost all of that cash, Kurt, $690 million of it went to the National Institute of Allergy and Infection Diseases. That's
the dog torture one.
That's the agency that's led by Dr. Anthony Fauci and 260 of its scientists. Or it was led by him until he recently resigned.
That money bought a lot of dogs and flies.
That's
and
right. And right.
Dogs.
Information about this vast private royalty complex is tightly held by the National Institutes of Health. My organization, OpenTheBooks.com, was forced to sue to uncover the royalties paid from September 2009 to October 2021, which amounted to $325 million over 56,000 transactions. We had to sue a second time with Judicial Watch as our counsel to pry open this new release. Payment skyrocketed during the pandemic era. Those years saw more than double the amount of cash flow to the NIH from the private sector compared to the prior 12 years combined. All told, it's over $1 billion. It's unclear if any of the COVID vaccine royalties from Pfizer and Moderna, the latter of which settled by NIH by agreeing to pay $400 million, is even included. So Pfizer and Moderna paid the NIH $400 million for the COVID vaccines. Is that even included in these numbers? The NIH isn't saying.
Nor should they have to.
I'm going to guess it's not included. The American people have one last crack at getting some candor from Fauci, the face of our COVID response, when he testified. Well, I guess this is 2 days old, this article.
5 takeaways.
When I didn't see anybody really try to get answers from him on this. So he testified. I showed some of the testimony. I'll show a little bit more today at the House Select Subcommittee on the coronavirus pandemic. There's plenty to answer for. He spent years scoffing at questions about, well, somebody did ask him. And I'm pretty sure he lied again because he's a pathological liar, Dr. Fauci. And he said he
That's
only
not
made,
what I said.
He said he made $126 in royalties.
Over 1,000 times over the course of years.
He spent years scoffing at questions about potential conflicts of interest between COVID policymakers who relentlessly pushed vaccines and recipients of private royalties. Now, he'll also need to account for bombshell emails sent by one of his deputies, which described in-house strategies to circumvent the Federal Freedom of Information Act. They haven't really made him. I've been watching, and I haven't really seen anybody get him to act. The only thing they got him to admit was that all his masking and all that he said that I didn't say it was made up. I said it wasn't based on science, and it just appeared. So, but they're not getting him on this stuff.
You got to play a recording of him each time you talk to him.
That's right. Can't believe people don't show a video of him contradicting himself like we show on this show.
Well, the one time the guy did, the one guy where he goes, that'll get the ideological bullshit if they can't go to school.
Yeah.
But
that wasn't him contradicting himself, right? That was just him saying something horrible. And
I thought he said.
Then he could say, that's not what I was saying. That's the wrong context. Anyway, let's get back to this. Fauci won't be able to misspell words to evade scrutiny or have folks physically. He's getting away with it.
This is like shit, Bernie Madoff shit of like
right,
or not Bernie Madoff. That in Fargo, he would change the license numbers on the cars.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Instead, cameras from around the world will be trained on Fauci, and he'll be answering for information he gave in a sworn deposition earlier this year. They're not really getting him. It's a chance to either come clean or further cement the public's perception of him and the NIH as secretive. Well, that's what is happening. Beyond this small cabal of scientists covering, he's even denying that he said that if you said the virus came from a Wuhan lab, he's denying he said that was a conspiracy theory.
It's racist.
He's pretending that he was always open to that. He's just lying. And there's nobody up there who's really going to get him because I think they all work for the same people.
Yeah, why he's just the
and he knows
on
this.
The pimple.
That's right. So they're up there just kind of making campaign speeches against Fauci. They're not really trying to nail him. Beyond the small cabal of scientists covering up discussions of the virus's origin, the NIH has consistently treated freedom of information requests like viral attacks on their own. No wonder then that we're plaintiffs in 6 ongoing FOIA cases. Characteristically, the NIH is still redacting pieces of the data that would help us more easily connect therapeutics with their government-paid inventors. So they're trying to figure out where these payments are actually going. Who invented the drugs and who's getting the money for them? For example, they refuse to show us the amount of royalties paid to each individual scientist. So we still can't entirely follow the money.
You're going to hear about UFOs before this. They're going to reveal the truth about spaceships.
That's right.
Before this shit.
In the meantime, Senator Rand Paul has sponsored the Royalty Transparency Act, which sailed unanimously through the committee process and deserves a floor vote immediately. There's plenty Fauci could do in the meantime, too. He could indicate he supports bills like Paul. Yeah, that's not going to happen. He could call the NIH and the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention to voluntarily unmask the royalty paid. That's not going to happen. Then we could see whether there's assistance have advanced that. Yeah, of course we know they're all scumbags. This idea that scientists are good people or that Bill Gates is some kind of a philanthropist instead of what he is, a megalomaniac who wants to control the world. Yeah, Mengele is another
great philanthropist. Mengele, you might
They're
recall.
all scientists.
He reminds me of him.
Fauci could also support fixes to the FOIA law that create real consequences for those who purposely. That's not going to happen. At minimum, he must apologize for the utter contempt. He's not.
No, and it's not. At minimum, it's
and the transparency war waged by his colleagues that's now been revealed in private. So it's been revealed that the people who work with Fauci, they knew they were covering up their communications about COVID and the vaccines and all that stuff. They were covering it up, and they were doing such unethical stuff that when someone searched for something, they would speak about it in code. And they would speak about it on private emails that they could erase. Among the government's most basic duties to the public are providing for the general welfare, and reporting its income and spending. Well, that's not happening. So so I really appreciate this guy. Let me see. This guy, Andrew.
I want to open the books on why his name is pronounced like that.
Andrzejewski.
Yeah. So the DRZE is often a W is pronounced like a V or an F. I'm pretty sure. But anyway, I appreciate, and I'm a fan of your pocket square and your super big tie, but and his cufflinks. He looks fantastic. He's very dapper. Yeah.
But none of that happened. They had the hearing. They let him off the hook. They made some video. I'm going to show you another video.
Only Trump is convicted for a thing I couldn't possibly care about.
Right, that's right.
But this Mengele level, way bigger than anything Mengele did, this crime.
Yeah.
Ain't going to be nothing for this.
Nothing.
because the establishment's in on it. You come see me on tour in Rutherford, New Jersey, Minneapolis, Minnesota, Ontario, California, Las Vegas, Davenport, Iowa, Chicago, Illinois. We're doing a live panel video show, special surprise guests on that show, and Grand Rapids, Michigan. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets, and make sure you go to Jimmy Dore because they don't want to buy it from a second reseller.